It's Paul Marsh, and I'm delighted to say that I've been joined by TV presenter, amongst many other things, Nick Knowles. How are you, sir?
Very good, very excited, ready for Christmas. Over decorated the house. Over decorated early, very big out the front. I had various blokes pulling over in their cars on the way by saying, "What are you doing? You just thrown us under the bus. Now I'm going to have to do this at home."
I'll be honest with you, we live in one of those streets where everyone tries to outdo each other, and it's like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation at the moment. It's just light bulbs going up everywhere. It's a craziness. I'm glad to see you got your guitar in the background because I want to talk to you about music a little bit later.
Okay,
Let's do all the other bits and pieces first. Um,
right.
like I mentioned about TV presenter, but you do so much other stuff. You have been in quite a few reality shows as well. Obviously, Strictly Come Dancing and I'm a Celebrity, both of those. I think both shows are struggling this year with audiences. Obviously, shows are going through a lot of changes. What do you think's missing that made the show so successful?
I don't really. I haven't really caught this year. I think one of the interesting things with the year that I did it, when I did it with Harry Redknapp and that crew, was what really disturbs and upset the producers when we were in there is that we all really got on like a house on fire and had a
They
really
don't
good
like
time
that.
together. And I remember the producers getting more and more irate about it and kept on sending people in like Noel Edmonds to try and disturb the harmony and cause us to fall out with each other. And there's a lot of things that happen whilst you're in there to try and make you all fall out. Um, but we universally sort of looked after each other and got on like a house on fire. They were worried it wasn't going to do very well. When we came out, we found that the viewing figures were massive, like 13 million viewers tuning in. So I think sometimes shows can get in their heads that it needs to be a certain something, uh, and uh, and what happens is society shifts a little bit along the way. You know, the couple of years before we went in, there was that incident where they'd won some kind of prize, and I think it was one of the boxers and somebody sat there and ate all the prize before they got back to camp.
Yeah,
And you remember that was, and
yeah.
there was that feeling of like people trying to outdo each other or pull the rug out from under each other. And then all of a sudden, the audience turns and goes, "Yeah, we've had enough of that. Really, we kind of we'd like something a bit more sort of wholesome." And so ours kind of hit a chord at that stage, and it worked very well for me. I remember saying to the guys when we went in there, "Look, their job is to try and make us fall out with each other. Our job is to try and get on with each other and see if we can have a good time." And actually, we really, really did. And we did lots of stuff that you never saw on camera. Like I'd like, we were one of the biggest problems there is boredom.
Yes.
So I did things like made a ball out of got like fronds from leaves and the strands of wire that you get out of these so that you can pull strands out of leaf stems and things like that, and made a ball the way that a cricket ball's made by wrapping cord round and round and a thing. And then basically took charcoal from the fire and a ground sheet and drew a target on it and put it in the middle of the camp. And we'd like throw the ball to hit. And we were all going mad, having a great time doing stuff like that. Never featured in the program because it really,
No.
but
Well,
it
it's funny,
managed.
isn't it? Because you've got 24 hours a day, and we get to see 45 minutes of those 24 hours. So there
Yeah,
is obviously so much other stuff going on that we don't get to see. And it's funny you say about, like, I think we do that. I think when we're put in situations where we've got our backs up against the wall and you're up against it, we band together and we become tighter as a unit.
yeah. And so I think seeing people do that is a really good thing. It was kind of something that they didn't particularly want or engineer. And you know, a lot of these reality programs are heavily engineered to try and get to the results that they want. So yeah, it's all a bit weird, really. I think sometimes you just need to you should put a bunch of people together and see what happens when you put them together, rather than trying to make it do the same thing over and over again, and then it will
Yeah.
reflect society. I mean, look, it's always nice for people when they see celebrities acting like arses and making fools of themselves. So that's the basis of a lot of reality shows, isn't it? Um, and then, you know, like when I did Strictly, I was about started off about as mobile as a wheelie bin, and then did myself a serious damage on week 4 or whatever it was. Still try to be like try to. I'd lost like kilos during the time I was dancing. Tried it. That old competitive spirit came out, and I was dancing like I was 25 instead of 63. So, so you know, it's like, yeah, I don't know really. I mean, look, and network telly's like the things are down because of Netflix and Discovery and all the streaming platforms, Apple, and people have got so much more choices. I was thinking about this the other day when you used to get the when we used to wait for the radio times to come out or the TV
Yeah.
times, and encircle the programs you wanted to see because there were only 3 channels or 4
Yeah.
channels to watch. And of course now you've got like movies on tap, and
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
different world.
I've had conversations with my kids. They don't understand why we didn't just used to pause live telly and go and make a cup of tea. They don't understand.
Yeah, but there's loads of things in society like that. I mean, we like the things we're going to get into about like old wives' tales and things like that are all part of it. But lots of different things. I remember I was saying to someone the other day that like I go and see I've got a 12-year-old son. I go and see all his rugby games when I can, and there's always somebody from like his mum or me there to watch him play rugby. I think in the whole time I was at school, I think my dad only came to see me play one game of rugby in my entire school days. Parents just didn't go to that kind of
No.
stuff. And in the summer, like, you basically had breakfast and got kicked out, and then didn't come in till 6 o'clock. In fact, if you turned up,
Yep.
you get, what are you doing back? Like, what do you want? Get out of the house. So, they had no idea where we were. No mobile phone to stay in contact. We could have been anywhere.
No,
Um,
I remember. I do remember that. You were talking earlier about like obviously overdoing it with the Christmas bits and pieces. Doing what you do, you must get people coming up to you all the time asking for tips and hints and, well, I've heard this, is this right? And I've heard that, is that right? You must get that all the time.
yeah, sometimes. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is that that we've been handing a lot of stuff down. In the old days, like, you used to be taught by your dad how to use a saw, how to use a drill, or all that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff's gone by the wayside now. And in the old-fashioned way that it was, the girls would learn to cook off their mums. That would be the things they picked up. The world's changed completely now. Like, boys, I taught all my boys to cook. My mum taught me how to sew. That's come in really handy over the years. And if I'm out, but like with my wife, and she busts a zip on her dress, I can actually stitch up and make sure that it's a handy little skill to have. So I've tried to teach my boys to have those kind of skills. But then there's all kinds of other weird stuff that used to happen as well. Like, most women you speak to will have been told at some stage in their life that if they go out with wet hair, they'll catch a cold.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that's patently nonsense. If you think about it, a cold actually comes from a bug that you pick
Yes.
up by touching someone or coming into contact with someone. You're more likely to get it during the winter. So going out with wet hair in the winter, I think someone's put two and two together and made five. And so that there's no evidence for that at all. Things like painting your radiators black will make them perform better. Again, it's absolute nonsense. That comes from, like, if you think about it, like, solar panels are black, and that's because sunshine it will absorb
Yes.
heat in the sunshine, but in the inside of your house doesn't make any difference at all. What you actually want is a bit of foil behind it to reflect the heat out of your wall and into the room that you're in. That's what you really want to be doing. But there's all kinds of other stuff, and a good one and a good example, and this actually came up, and part of the reason that I'm talking about it today is that most people believe that electricity is cheaper at night than it is during the day. Now, historically, that was the case. And we used to have, in the olden days, again, taking you back on for anybody listening who could go back this far, we used to have things called night storage heaters, which were basically used to hang on the wall. They'd heat up with cheap electricity overnight, and then they'd release their heat during the day. And that was a cheap way to heat your house. Now, the truth is, if you have a smart meter, you can access special tariffs and schemes that will get you cheaper electricity. And I'm on one myself, where I get cheaper electricity in the evening and on Sundays. So in my house, we do like the washing in the evenings or on a Sunday. By the way, point of safety: you shouldn't leave your washing machine and tumble dryer on whilst you're asleep at night.
No.
Generally, from a fire point of view, but in the evenings, but in order to do that, you've got to access a special tariff these days to do it. It's not just if you don't get the tariff, you're going to pay the same amount at night as you are going to during the day. So actually, things like having a smart meter, which in itself, I should say, won't save you money, but what it will do is it will show you where you're using the electricity.
Yeah.
And actually, there's nothing better than actually having one of these little meters on the side of the counter, which you can get these little like handheld meters that you can put in the kitchen. And then you switch kettle on, and you're making a cup of tea for just one person, and you fill the entire kettle up, and you watch the dials spin, and you go, hang on a second. So the next time, if you do that, it means that you go to just putting a little bit of water in the kettle because you use like a quarter of the energy
Do you know what?
to make yourself a cup of tea.
I can't believe you said that, because it's like, when you say you're turning into your dad when,
Yeah.
and I've got one of these smart meters at home, and my favourite game to play is who's got the kettle on, who's running a bath, because you can watch the smart meter. You go, right, somebody's left the light on, who's watching and you know that something's gone on because it shoots round into the red, and you go, right, somebody's doing the ironing. Kids, what have you left on? All of those bits and pieces, and you can
Yeah.
tell all of this from your smart meter.
Of an evening, if you go around, if you've got your smart meter on and you go around and switch off all the lights in the rooms that you're not in, because all kids leave. I mean, it's this part of being a kid is leaving lights on everywhere you go and not switching them off when you go out. If you then go around and look at all the units that you've got on standby in your house that aren't actually being used, and then you actually fill up like a kettle with enough to make a cup of tea instead of a full
The whole
kettle every
thing.
time. You watch all of these things, and it's amazing. It's like incremental gains. I'm not suggesting that you're going to suddenly become a millionaire overnight because you did this, but it's like the GB cycling team when they did it, what they called incremental gains, which was if you shave a tenth of a second off here and a tenth of a second off there, you end up building a second that you take off, and you become an Olympic athlete. In the same way with your stuff at home, if you like little bits here and there, if you add all those up, that at the end of the year, you'll find that you've actually saved yourself quite a chunk of cash. And at the moment, I mean, we all know
Oh,
that everyone's trying to like
yeah.
save money, worried about bills, worried about tax, worried about flipping everything. And we're running a business. All of these things are really difficult. So, if you like, I think it's something like is it 70% now? I was reading the other day. Is it 70%? Yeah, 70% of meters are now smart meters. So that's quite an improvement. If you haven't got one, talk to your energy supplier and they'll get you one. But honestly, it isn't that it saves you money, but it gives you access to special
Yeah.
tariffs and things, and it also just makes you aware of where you're wasting money.
It just helps you make educated choices, is what it does. Do I
Yeah.
want to put the dishwasher on now? Or do I want to leave it a couple of hours till it's cheaper electricity? There's all those bits. It's just information, isn't it? And I look at that and I go, well, you can look at it two ways. Like you say, you're shaving 10p here, 10p there. It's either going to buy me a nice frothy coffee at the end of the month, or if I save it for a year, I might even be able to get a nice weekend away somewhere. All those little bits and pieces, they all add up at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's nothing you can do about turning into your dad, by the way. You are going to be the person that walks into a house and runs your handle on the radiator to see whether it needs bleeding or not. You are going to be going going like this, going, where do I put my glasses?
Yeah.
And that's all happening. There's nothing you can do about that. It's like
I'm glad it's not just me, Nick. Look, we're running out of time fast. So if people want to find out a little bit more about the smart energy savers, where can they do that? Where can they find out a little bit more information?
well, smartenergy.org is a really good place to do it. Or just go to your energy supplier. There's a lot of information online, but smartenergy.org are the ones that have done the research on this. And I would advise everyone. Everyone wasn't sure about having a smart meter in the house, but actually, it's a really good sort of prompt for you to save a few quid.
Now, I just want to finish up by saying I did mention the guitar earlier. I know that you're a massive music fan. I know you love your country music. I just want to finish off by asking what you're listening to at the moment.
Oh, that's really interesting. Do you know what I'm finding really amazing? There's some amazing things happening now with AI. And I know that's not a popular thing to say,
No, it's
but
not.
there's some extraordinary things happening at the moment where they're taking like Eminem tracks or Drake tracks and turning them into 60s like soul tracks,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they're horribly brilliant.
I know. Yeah. Do you know the current, or maybe it was a week or two ago, the current number one in the US country music charts was a song that is completely AI.
Yeah, well, look, it's coming. I mean, some reassurance with this. AI is really interesting from that point of view. But it can only ever make something. It's derivative, so it's basically looking at everything that's ever been done, and it's got the original thought is still going to be there, and original creativity is always going to work. And the easiest way to represent that is if you look at Formula One, which is all now designed on computers and wind tunnels, and then a bloke called Adrian Newey comes along and walks in, and he still draws with a pencil on paper, and he walks in and comes up with an idea, and then his team wins the Formula One World Championship. So there is still human beings will always make the difference. But honestly, you listen to some of these tracks these rap tracks that have been turned into sort of 60s soul music are
Yeah.
just beautiful. And I really don't want to like them, but they're phenomenal.
Well, look, Nick, thank you so much for talking to me. I really do appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great Christmas and look forward to catching up again soon.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too. Take care.